Bro, to the older talent, to the MVPs, to the Bobby Lashleys, to the Shelton Benjamins, bro, Triple H was one of the boys. So he's always going to be one of the boys to them. And that may be an issue when he becomes the boss.
Let's talk about MVP wanting to be very vocal about Triple H. In an interview with Drop the Heat, he said, "This time I didn't want to re-sign, and I'll let it be known I wasn't going to re-sign because the new management in place, anytime, I don't care where you work, when the new management comes in, it's good for some people and not for other people. New people come in, old people go. So I just felt that it was definitely time to go because the new management just wasn't for me and I ain't for him." Okay. Laughs after that. So he correlates management with a person. And, Triple H being at the helm now. Bobby Lashley's even talked about in interviews that he feels like Triple H missed the boat on giving him some opportunities while he was working with them. He actually preferred working with Vince.
You think you know all the wrestling stories? There's more you haven't heard yet. Join us on Backstage Pass.
EC3 is someone who worked in NXT with Triple H, worked in the WWE main roster with Vince. What say ye about the management styles?
I'll say ye about, I don't know any of the possible personal animosity or issues that they may have with each other, but I do know MVP is absolutely 100% correct that when new management takes over, it's good for some people, it's not so good for others. And sometimes being cognizant aware of where you are with somebody or where you stand is the best gift you can have. And especially if you have the resume that MVP has and the ability that he has, he doesn't need to be there. He can go somewhere else. But that's what he's chosen to do. He's thriving in what he's doing. I think with what him, Shelton, and Bobby have done in AEW, you can see MVP's business insight kind of in what they're doing. Shelton always and should always been a top guy. But it's kind of his run in AEW, he's finally been able to be built up as one because it's kind of a fresh start for him. Same thing with Bobby. They're very protective of what they are and who their brand is, and I think that's cool. As far as management with Triple H, I had nothing but good things to say about being managed by him. He was very easy to talk to, easy to work with, open to feedback, helpful when needed. He's a I want to say a man's man. That sounds stupid, but he's a very good leader under my brief time with him.
Wonderful. Versus Vince McMahon. Versus Vince.
Oh, Vince sucked.
All right. There you go, ladies.
Terrible. Oh, trash. Well, I didn't have a personal relationship with him. He never was. I was never invested in him, by him, for him, by us, FUBU. But Bobby came in at a different time, worked with Vince, was built up by Vince. Hell, he let him shave his head in Detroit, right? So there's a pretty, firm relationship there. I was never Vince's guy. And yeah, I was completely indifferent to him. And just I always knew he had freckles, and I was telling everybody he had freckles, and no one would listen to me. He had freckles, and I said he had freckles, and then they fired me during COVID. I'm it's because of the freckles.
Yep.
I was proven right once again.
Indeed. Vince, your thoughts?
Yeah, bro, it's two completely different approaches. And, bro, to the older talent, to the MVPs, to the Bobby Lashleys, to the Shelton Benjamins, bro, Triple H was one of the boys. So he's always going to be one of the boys to them. And that may be an issue when he becomes the boss. Vince McMahon was never one of the boys. So it was a total different approach with him as the boss. And bro, I noticed that with, big time with Jeff Jarrett at TNA. When Jeff Jarrett was the boss before Dixie Carter took over, bro, he was still one of the boys. And, he would have issues with some of the boys on his level. And when you look at an MVP was an active wrestler when Triple H was an active wrestler. So there's going to be some issues there. Like, we could go down that entire roster now, and I could tell you who'd rather have Triple H for a boss, who'd rather have Vince McMahon for a boss. And 99.9% of the time, Triple H's colleagues would rather have Vince. John Cena would rather have Vince McMahon as a boss than Triple H.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. Were there any people in TNA that you recall that would buck up against any type of...
Oh, absolutely. Bubba and Devon, big time.
Oh, really?
Big time. Absolutely big time. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a hard disconnect. And, I kind of started experiencing that a little bit. And where do you cause that separation? When you're still active, but you're leading. So I'm just glad you brought that up, because it made me think, where do you have to draw the line sometimes? And then what line can you actually draw if you're on the same level as somebody,
Yeah.
So it's like, it's tough.
Yeah,
indeed. What's not tough is the camaraderie of these three people on the screen, man. Great discussion as always. Great segments. Fantastic night. Fantastic set of shows for you all, Sportskeeda Nation, to enjoy. Be sure to hit that like, comment, share, subscribe. Be like adults in the comment section. We trust you. We believe in you, ladies and gentlemen. This guy right here is Vince Russo. We got EC3. I'm Dr. Chris. This is the Wrestling Outlaws. Have a good night, everybody. Solo.